Hello, welcome to May 19th, 2022. This is the Good Life Meditation, my daily recollection of life objectives and principles, and an examination of yesterday. How did I do applying these to the challenges and opportunities? And then planning for the coming day. First, last night and yesterday, I otherwise would have slept pretty good. I did get up in the pre-dawn hours, but for a different reason. I'm not thinking about work. I've been experiencing some pain in my body that's new and increasing. So I'm going to make an appointment with a doctor to go have a look at it. It doesn't seem to be going away. So I was kind of up in pain. So probably cost me a half hour of sleep. Feel good though, in spite of that. Although it's interesting how when you get that kind of stuff, well, I mean, I haven't had it very often in life. I mean, I've had pain, that's caused by, I have broken stuff, but hurting myself, but not just pain that seems to be coming of its own accord. That's a different type of a thing. So I'll get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, it was a good day of work yesterday. Another solid day of work. I did good. Did good. I didn't have a lot. Yesterday was a day I could have coasted if I wanted to, but I didn't. I eked out some full days of work from it. I feel good as a result. That's why I feel good in spite of the pain, but not in spite of the worry. Because there's a little tinge of worry that comes when you've got that pain that comes of its own accord. Nice evening last night, great dinner, and pretty good night's sleep. Let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 30 principles. My first objective is to be always ready to die. Interesting idea, considering the sudden onset of pain. I did worry about that, I did worry about, like, what if it's cancer or something like that? I mean, some pain coming from my body that not expected. Could there be, something growing inside me that doesn't normally, normal bodily functioning wouldn't desire. I wonder if cancer maybe serves some normal function. Maybe it's a mechanism for culling us out. Not calling us out, but culling us out. C-U-L-L. I wonder if that's the case. So, so this question becomes all the more poignant. Am I ready to die? Like, let's say this is something bad. The tricky part, I think I am. I honestly think I am, because I attend to this every day. My affairs are in order to the best of my ability. My relationships are sound, and my life's work is done. So I guess so. I guess, but though, that you never can be really ready, though, right? That's always been the thing under the covers, right? Yeah, but Kurt, could you really manage it well? Could you really go down well? Or will I tremble in terror? Interesting. The one thing that I don't anticipate, though, is, yeah, it wouldn't be a matter if it does turn out that this is serious. Like the things I was thinking about when I woke up last night, or early this morning. had everything to do with my present responsibilities and nothing to do with any worry of what's to follow. Like I didn't give one single thought last night or this morning to, what if I'm wrong and there is a God and he's going to be pissed and I'll get mine. Didn't give a single thought to that. And I don't anticipate that I will. What I do give a thought to is, how can I transition my family, ensure my family's well-being and transition through an event like that? And how can I do it in such a way that it doesn't drain us of everything? Getting sick and dying in the United States in particular is no small affair. No cheap affair. I mean, it's going to be expensive in any case. But I think I would rather be terminally ill and die in Japan than here, unless I could somehow pull off the stunt of my own death, of killing myself without upsetting others. Like I said, I think I talked about this in the video a day or two ago. It's interesting timing, how this pain suddenly has arrived. And it was there, if I be honest with myself, for the last 4 or 5 months, very slight. I'm telling myself it's nothing, it'll go away, coming up with all the ideas. And maybe it is nothing, but interesting timing that it helps to coincide with these thoughts. I think I would rather, if I was going to do that, and I don't see how I could, just, if I turned out to have terminal, I have something bad, and, like stage 4 cancer, where there's a low probability of being here in 5 years. And if it turns out that I wouldn't be able to work through it, I'd be debilitated for several years, which would wipe my family out. If I knew my family would be all right with me taking my own life in a reasonable manner, I'd rather do that here than in Japan. Something about doing it here would be on my own terms, but I think I'd rather be in Japan altogether for the family's soft, safe landing, in the bosom of my wife's extended family, and the social network and institutions that are in place there to help. And the fact that I'm just, life's just easier. I think it's easier to get by in Japan. Well, enough on that topic. We'll find out what happens. I'll make an appointment with the doctor, and we'll go see. And so the next one is, the next objective is to make a good and effective use of time. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, which is something that I really feel that it's if there's any of these objectives that I've got the throttle maxed out on right now, in terms of like really moving fast, that's the one. Even though I've been dwelling a lot on the good use of, on the, dying well, being ready to die, I've been working hard on the emotional reactions. Like, it's like now, it's almost like a Matrix type of thing, when Nero was, the slow motion with the bullets. I mean, I've had a couple, I haven't talked about them, but I've had a couple of instances where I felt the emotions kind of beginning to go south. Like I'm in a situation that I don't necessarily enjoy. I mean, there's lots of stuff I don't enjoy. I mean, but my life and my job and my responsibilities necessitate that I do nonetheless. And I feel the emotion, tugging me towards something else. Yet, and my reasoned sense just overcomes it. It's like a parent with a naughty child, and the parent's in total control, and letting the child, have its place away from everybody else, okay, now little Curdy, we're going to go into the corner over here, and we'll take a time out to not upset the infrastructure and the activities of everybody else. I mean, I feel like I can do that now, with an aptitude and an ease and a completeness like never before in my life. I mean, it's almost, it's not even like a wrestling with the tantrum child. It's a total mindful control. I guess that's a form of maturity in a way. And I believe it's because I do this every day, because I again, to use the word mindful, I mindfully consider these things every day. So the good emotional reaction, it's not just words coming out of my mouth, it's also an affirmation of effort and a resolve and a call to an immediate availability of that tool and that resource. There's something to this. There's something something with the Catholics and the Buddhists with their rosary beads, saying prayers. There's something to the repetition, the vocalization, the consideration. Again, to use the word, the affirmation. And in doing this in my own way, it's the same type of thing. In fact, I almost considered at one time taking my desert stones that I had. I remember I had a rock tumbler for a while, and I would tumble desert stones, and when I would send people books, I would send them a stone. Well, those stones are all gone. I've just, but I've thought about, in fact, I still have it. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I've got a little truck around here somewhere that I don't know where that truck came from. And in the back of the truck, there are 37 stones, tumbled stones. I saved those 37 because I had this in mind that maybe I could create a rosary of sorts, a good life rosary, and string those stones into a little rosary. And maybe I'll do that. That may be a fun project. I just need a micro drill of some sort to drill holes in the stones and then string them together, and then go through them one on one. Bang, be always ready to die, good and effective use of time, etc., etc. I don't do that, in fact, with that stones, but I do it in my mind. So much so that it's not even, I don't even have to keep them anywhere. They're all listed in my book, but they're just all in my head. I don't know that I could do them out of order, but so good emotional reactions. That's another objective. Next is to perform good actions, and then to recognize true limits and true opportunity, and then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately. Now my 30 principles. Methinks I'm headed into the lightning round. Number one is the principle of war, to always be fighting against what I think is true and what is proposed to me as true. 2, the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which is the approach that I take to the world to ensure that I'm being objective, reasonable, and skeptical in my assessment and my acceptance of what appears to be true. 3, the homunculus, the reminder that I have no soul, but I do have a little consciousness that lives inside me for a little while. And then the home of good and evil. No, the Anchorhold, the suggestion that my homunculus is quite mortal and will die with me. Then comes the home of good and evil. Good and evil, right and wrong, don't exist out in the universe. They exist only in our minds. They're just ideas and opinions, and at their root subjective. Then the principle of purpose, and the 3 sub-principles of biology, which I use as a word to describe having a child and raising that child to adulthood, and all the apparatus and superstructure of life associated with that: career, home, family, spouse, all that stuff. Commitment, responsibility, strength of character, resolve, everything that wraps up and constitutes being an adult. The second part of the purpose is virtue, to be a virtuous human being, where virtue is defined as the seeking the improvement of the well-being of others, particularly thinking others, not just people but animals too. And then the third principle is the sharing of my story and my message in my book, Going Alone, which is the tale of how I encountered something called the Great Indifference, the emptiness of the universe, a universe without God, and what I did with that awful fact. Is it awful? It is awful insofar as that it suggests that there's no life after death, no continuation. It is awful insofar as it suggests that we're truly on our own with no oversight, no plan, and no reward or punishment for good or evil. All of this stuff rests on our shoulders, which is an awful weight. So the book also describes my recipe to address that, which I call the Good Life Creed. Going Alone is available on Amazon and at goingalone.org. Next is Atomic Principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. Then the principle of nature. Everything in the universe, including animals and animals, plants, etc. Inanimate objects, they all have some nature, some systems. Systems all have their nature. And it's good the way that they are, the way that they work, the way that they do, the way that they think, the way they behave. And it's good to recognize what that is so we can expect accordingly. I use that one at work all the time, recognizing the nature of my workplace, the nature of my projects, the nature of my coworkers, the nature of myself. Then comes the pirate ride, the idea that free will is not real. We're not truly free, although we can make any decision we want. The decisions that we make are the only decisions that we can actually have made at that time, as strange as that sounds. I believe that's true, and I can't prove it, so this is a weak spot for sure in my Good Life Creed. But I hold on to it because I have a gut visceral sense that it's true. It's actually a point of faith, which actually is a sin in my worldview. So yeah, I'm a sinner. What an interesting idea, though, because sin suggests that there's someone to sin against. Like for those who are religious bent, you're sinning against the will or the nature of God. In this case, it's a sin against the principle. It's a sin against a better sense. An inanimate sin. I like that. That sounds better. An inanimate sin. Next comes maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude, way of being, to be a more mature human being. Then comes the social principle. We're social creatures, we need each other. Then public speaking, a reminder to be very careful about my communications, to use few words, deliberate words, carefully chosen words, and to review my communications to make sure they're clear, accurate, concise, to the point, on point. Next comes, and to never, ever, 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 ever gossip. No, it's a sin. Get to that in a second. Then comes two principles together. Is that right? No. Yes? No. Then comes temperance. The idea of controlling my consumption of all things. And then that which must be borne, which is the horror show. See, when I go fast, I stumble. The horror show suggests that life is chock full of horror. Like the horror, the potential horror of getting really sick. Hopefully this pain I'm feeling is a false alarm. Or maybe it's something. It's something for sure. But maybe it's a manageable something, or not much of a something. A self-healing something. We'll find out. But there is horror out there, and it's happening. It's bad. It's happening just right around here in my neighborhood. Maybe just next door. And eventually here. Eventually there with you too. The next principle is that which must be borne or carried. We have to carry the fact of the horror show. We have to carry the fact of our responsibilities and the commitments that we've made, even if they're painful to bear. And that is our burden. After that comes the Feast of Offal, which is the waste and byproduct of our intemperate living, when we get upset and spew it into the world and let everybody know. And same thing when we pay attention and give heed to the upset of others when they're using us as their audience for their own upset. And we take it in like gossip, relish it in a way of Schadenfreude, whatever it's called, that German word, right? Relishing in the pain of others or the difficulties of others. I try not to engage in any of that. And I just want to be someone who is there for others when I can be. Keeping my distance when they're being dangerous, lending a hand when they've calmed down and they need a hand. And being very careful and discreet in my own upset, keeping it into myself as best I can. Next comes the two, distraction, and then agency and the great indifference. We distract ourselves all through life with our work and our job, work and school and family and home and hobbies and sports and gossip and God. And why do we do all of that? Well, we do it all to, produce good ends, right? In the effort of all of that, we're building, families and communities and homes, which are good infrastructure and good networks. But we're also distracting ourselves from an apparent emptiness of the universe, the universe without God, because we don't want to see that, because it suggests that all of this is in vain, in fact, other than the momentary instantiation of good living. We're on our own otherwise. We don't want to see that, so we distract ourselves. Next comes the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing at all times, all the while striving to be better, do better, and be better. Do better, be better. Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, next is the Path of Wildness, which is a way upward and forward into and through new life, out of our sane and settled circumstance into a more potentially chaotic and disordered next life stage, next life adventure, great life adventure. The Path of Wildness. It's easy to find. It's the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. It's not easy to get on it, but it's worthwhile for sure. Especially if we're someone who wants more of life than mere living. Okay, next is the risk of avoiding risk. Life has the surface level risks of the sane and sober, school and family and education and family and home and kids and security, saving for our old age. And then the deep risk of seeing if there's something more, looking under the hood, finding our own purpose and our own identity. It's tricky to do both of those. It can be done. You can do them simultaneously, in fact. Especially if you choose someone to spend your life with who will understand if you want to take some time here and there once in a while to look under the cover. let's let them know early on that that's what you do, or that is what you intend to do. Better to show them by example when you're dating that, I'm going to do this once in a while. I'm going to go have a little adventure. And, it needs to be moderate, depending on your responsibilities. If you have kids, you have to take care of yourself and protect them and be reasonable and that. And you have to give some of it up. It's part of the cost of having kids. You give them half your life. It's literally what it is. You give them half your life. Kids deserve half your life. And the half your life clock restarts every time you have another kid. It goes back to zero. So it's it's the half of, well, not even that. It's not the half of whatever remains. It's basically 20 years, right? So if you decide to have your kid when you're 40, you've given them basically the rest, at least the rest of the good years, right? It's a tricky thing, though. Maybe that's a good way to do it, because if you give them when you're 40, then you've had up until then for yourself. What more do you need? Temperance, right? Okay, now next is sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, and these relate to being untrue, believing things that are untrue, and gossip. Enumerated, they are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. I try not to do any of those things so that I can be an honest man, honest with myself as well, and one that doesn't waste my time chatting about others behind their back. What an awful waste. What an awful, disgusting thing to do. And I must say, I'm getting pretty good at that, at spotting it coming and not doing it, calling it out, no less. I see you, gossip. I see you coming. I don't mean to point at you. I'm just pointing. Okay, we'll point over here. You. I mean, it's like it jumps out. It's like having a radar system. I'm talking to people, and on the horizon, bogey. I'm about to say something that I would regret, and I just don't do it. And I know it's because I do this every day. Every day I tell myself, don't gossip. Next, I'm almost there. After that comes the Great Life Adventure, one or more experiences that help to form our identity. And then the season of philosophy, being ready to write down or sing or dance or whatever you want to do, something creative with whatever inspirational words come to you as a result of the life that we've chosen to live, especially if you've had a great life adventure and will have seeded the soil with potential. Then comes the bullseye aim, striving for the mark but usually missing. Such is life. The uphill climb, trudging up. The arena and utility, keeping all of these principles handy and ready to use. And this daily affirmation, this meditation, this recitation, especially when I do it under the camera and when I upload everywhere, knowing that I'm going to do that causes me to do a good job. And this is what brings these things forward into my mind, even if they're not conscious in my mind. They're just behind my immediate consciousness, and I don't even need to look for them anymore. They're just, bang, I need a little temperance, bang, a little apathy, watch that gossip. I see it on the horizon, It's truly a powerful thing to actively dwell on better living. Then comes the principle called nothing is enough, a deeper reminder to simplicity. And then finally, the principle of fun, a reminder to enjoy my time as best I can in the here and now. Look forward to days to come and enjoy the remembrance of days gone by. That's my good life meditation, my good life creed. Now for the coming day. Pretty straightforward day. I have 3 meetings, I think. One of them is a little tricky. The rest are pretty good. I'll make an appointment with the doctor. I will continue focusing, and then tomorrow's a day off. And today actually is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I know that my wife and daughter are planning to take me to San Diego on Saturday to have a nice birthday feast in a Japanese restaurant in San Diego. And Chris, Emily's boyfriend, is coming too. I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, be safe, but not too safe.